Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Kim and I am a high school student under quarantine lockdown, just as many of you are. As you probably already know, the coronavirus has been affecting our daily lives, with many schools and workplaces being closed down. Since a mask is now required in most stores and definitely recommended by the CDC, here's a great way to help the elderly or any of your friends and family who might need a mask. I started making these masks bulk to donate so that I could donate these to nursing homes, hospitals, or social workers, or anyone in need. Because right now, since everyone needs masks, there has been a scarcity of masks, and then some people aren't getting these masks when they are in need of one, such as the elderly. So this method has very little wasted material so that you can make as many masks as possible from the supplies you have. And these masks aren't medical grade, but they are CDC standard 100% cotton face masks. And then today I'm going to share with you some great tips on how to make them quickly, efficiently, and in bulk. So the supplies we'll be using today are some elastic that I've bought in bulk. These are cheaper in 100 yards and 200 yards, so buy them in longer rather than individually. I also have a ruler, some cotton cloth, a sewing machine, some scissors, a pencil, pins, and a thread cutter. Let's get started. The cotton fabric I've prepared today is folded in half. It is 22 inches long this way, and a yard or 36 inches this way. We'll be cutting it in 9 by 6 inch fabric squares as required by the CDC. We are going to be making 4 fabric strips. We're going to be marking the fabric every 9 inches. So now that we have 4 fabric strips, we're going to put them on top of each other so we can cut them at once and it'll be much more efficient. So now that we have them all on top of each other, you want to start by marking it 3 inches from the edge, because I'm going to remind you, we need to make it 9 by 6 inches. So we're going to be starting by marking 3 inches here. And that will make 1 folded fabric square so we don't waste any material. And you want to go again, but this time you want to mark 6 inches and another 6 inches. And then finally the last 6 inch. So now that we're all finished cutting, you should have 28 fabric squares total. And this one unfolds into another fabric square. And as you can see, we've only cut off this much of the material. Now, if you want a different color for the inside of the mask, feel free to repeat the steps we just went over on a different piece of fabric. And what you want to do is cut all the fabric you've bought at once to help make the mask in bulk. So now that we're done, we have 28 fabric squares here and 28 fabric squares here. So now we're ready to sew. So what we're going to do is take each fabric square, place it down so the right side is facing up, and then place another different color and put it so that the right side of the fabric is facing down. So if you want to make it in bulk quickly and efficiently, what you want to do is take all of them and match it up like this as you go and finish the whole stack of 28. You should also prepare 2 6.5-inch elastic strips. You want to cut these elastic strips beforehand so that you have enough. You want to cut these and mark them as far as you can, so you don't have to go back and do the process again. Now that we're ready, you want to leave a gap about 3 inches in the stitching so that we'll be able to flip the mask inside out later. And you want to sew a straight stitch 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric all around. We're going to start on the long side. Place the elastic on the corner of the fabric, facing inwards. Make sure it is on the short side. Then you want to pivot and continue around the corner. Then pivot. Make sure the elastic is not tangled up inside and it is straight. We're going to put another elastic in. Make sure it's on the corner on the short side. Keep sewing. Pivot. And put the elastic in the corner again. When you're done, lift the needle. Use this thread ripper to cut the front and the back. So we finished sewing all of our 10 fabrics. What you want to do is finish the rest of them if you want to do more as well, so you don't have to go back and do it again. This will actually help us save time in the long run, so it's much more efficient and quickly if you finish all of them at once. So what we're going to do now is flip the mask inside out. Use the gap of the hole that we left to flip it inside out. So once you flipped it out, use your fingers to roughly pull it out. Don't tug on the straps too hard. So what we're going to do now is to use a pointed stick. In my case, I'm using this chopstick, but it could be anything similar. We're going to put it in the gap and make sure the corners are flipped all the way. After you're done with that, make sure you repeat the step for all of your fabrics. After you finish flipping it out, here's a tip. Instead of using a flat iron, what you can do instead is to use your fingers to drag the seam of the mask outward and flatten it with your nails. This will save a lot of time because you don't need to go through having a flat iron and then setting it up. Method just works as well as you would when you use a flat iron. And you want to repeat that for all of the other masks you've flipped over. Now this is the most arguably hardest part, making the pleats. We're going to make 3 pleats, and when they're complete they should be about ½ an inch wide. But for this part you don't have to be completely exact. I like to eyeball it and use my 4th finger to fold over the pleats. Once you have it folded over, you want to secure both sides with a pin. Once you have it folded over, we're going to move on to the next pleat. A tip here is to use your fingernail to hold the pleats before you pin them. When you're finished, your mask should be about 3 inches wide on the sides. But the most important part is making sure that the sides are each the same length. So feel free to adjust the pleats if one side is longer than the other. This side is about 3 inches. This side is about 3 inches as well. So now that we're done pleating all 10 of our fabrics, we're going to now sew the pleats. This part can be a little bit tricky. For me, the first time I tried sewing pleats over, they unfolded here. So a good tip here is to firmly press down on the pleats and then keep your pins in until the machine finishes going over your pleats. At the end, pivot to the other side. So I've gone ahead and made a lot more of the mask we just made, as you can see here, and with the fabrics here. Then after you finish the step before this, you're done. I found it a little tricky at first, especially because I didn't know sewing, but once I got the basics down, it was really fast and easy, and it really gets easier with practice. Well, I hope you have a happy mask making experience, and I hope you can use this opportunity to help your community and family or friends during this pandemic.